Good evening, and today I will take you on a short journey on effective technical consulting for Indian higher educational institutes. So, before I begin my talk today, I probably give a short introduction of the various roles that we could perform as part of any consulting. Not just being a consultant, I am also you see, you have a very nice exposure of being a speaker, an entrepreneur, enjoy traveling, being working with leaders. This is a past IEEE president, and I enjoy photography. But among all of these, the first one that I consider myself to be a good one at it is being an educationist. So I take pride in understanding the entire ecosystem of how education works, the system works, the ecosystem, how it works, and how we can contribute. So in this activity, while delving, I've started two YouTube channels. One specifically for the consulting called the King Consultants Education, in which I founded in 2015. And the second one was specific to VLSI education called my own name, Dr. G.S. Javed, where we go in and talk about advanced analog design concepts and VLSI career guidance systems. During the COVID, we saw that a lot of people needed specific education and specific advanced courses where they could learn about a few extra things apart from what is being taught at college or being as professionals as they want to do a skill development. So in that endeavor, I started teaching on Udemy, where I have come across 8 courses where we talk about the basics of analog CMOS circuit design and take them through the practical circuit design simulation concepts, where we talk about ADC, LDO, BGR, pressure sensors, and SERDES. Once these basic courses were done, a lot of interest was garnered, and we found that each topic needed a specific interest. So we went on creating a new topic on LDO circuit design, on ADC circuit design, trying to get an intuitive approach. And finally, the high-speed serial design, where we talk about SERDES or serial links, where we delve into the transmitter and receiver architectures of both serializers, the FFE, okay, and then the DFE systems, CTLE, how we can manage each of these receiver architectures and their subblocks. And finally, I spent a lot of time designing this course on capacitive sensing, where we talk about what are the nice modules you can use for capacitive sensing, which effectively can be used as a pressure sensor, water sensor, moisture sensor, or any other proteomics-based biosensors, etc. So once these done, we found that while engaging with a lot of academia and with the industry, they were interested to know what are the various kinds of projects, both at an advanced level for PhD and masters, and at a bachelor's level where students wanted to gather more interest. So I took up the entire 1.5 decade of my professional work and research work into about 6 slides to showcase what are the various topics that I have been able to work on. The first one being a integrated instrumentation circuit for biomedical diagnosis. It is effectively a lab on a chip. This was bulk of my PhD work, where probably I spent about 6 years on developing and very nearly productizing a lab on a chip. And this is the quick cartoon about what the final chip looks like. So it is a 3x4 sensor array where we have an integrated sensor pixel. So one on the left where you have a capacitor sensor, an ADC, and the other circuits to do the measurements into this blue segment here. So each of these segments will allow you to measure different active components, and this could be your gas sensing, biosensing, pressure sensing, flow and humidity sensing, and very other checks. Some of the things that one thing that you need is, this is a bare bones infrastructure based system. To functionalize it, you, depending upon what is the material that you're trying to sense, you have to functionalize it. And specifically for biomedical, you need to do something called biofunctionalization and understanding that. Next project was basically understanding how RF systems and their electrical characterization works. And we came up about alternative test methods to RF testing, where utilizing temperature-based sensors, we could understand the functionality of RF systems and clocking systems. In these two cases, where I describe how we work on a RF measurements in power amplifiers and low noise amplifiers. Another thing we worked on understanding what are the various stability and on-die variations of a frequency generated, typically a phase lock loop or a delay lock loop, and understand how we can do a frequency stability analysis and reduce the on-die variation. My third project is was been my bread and butter project for the last 8 years, which is based upon high-speed serial links or high-speed SerDes, where we design 1.25 to 40 Gbps per pin data rate, and most of these are very well published too. So we have there is a project which I work on called Project 40 Gbps SerDes, where on LinkedIn, where you can look about all my details of works and understanding how you work or the intricacies of each one of these can be learnt about. Next one is the phase lock loop or a DLL or the various clocking circuits. These are essential circuits because they are the timing circuits. And this is very important for each of these operations in the previous slide what we mentioned. And we understand that having a good quality timing circuit is very important when you're working with synchronized high-speed SerDes or high-speed serial link based circuits. While doing these blocks, there are other periphery items, and these are your power management circuits and others. So I started working with RF to DC conversion and energy harvesting circuits as a passion and as a mentoring. And in this particular case, I have been able to mentor close to 6 people who did their master's and bachelor's projects, and each one of them have been able to successfully publish papers as part of that mentorship program. And here I have probably seen, I have mentioned about 4 of them, right from 2015 to 2020, about 4 of them have published. And this shows that there are actionable results when you work with me and when you do with that. So this is one thing. Last one. So the last project which I kind of work is kind of on the social relevance, and I found out that IoT and baking products in agriculture has a lot of impact in the Indian subcontinent and the Indian perspective. And if you see, we came across drones as an effective means of doing a lot more activity. So when you looked at these two combinations, we worked and understood how farming surveys could be taken, banking support can be provided for as doing a risk assessment using drones. Then we had precision farming, storage and granary, basically post harvest based solutions where wastage in the granary can be reduced and more of them can be utilized. Typically, we know that 10 to 15% of the crop that is held or the grains that are held in granary get lost due to various natural elements like the rodents or the weather or rains. How can we avoid that? And if you say 15% of the entire granary count in the world or in the country is very huge, you could support few extra straits with that in our PDS program. So with these kind of things that I worked on, with this total understanding of how we do projects and how we understand the consulting world, I started engaging with the engineering colleges of South India. So what I did was I found this nice unique problem and I thought we could solve that. There is a disconnect and there is a lacuna. So I started King Consultants Education in 2015 and it has been going strong till about 2020, 2021. There's a short break that I've taken in the last couple of years to focus on my full-time career. So in the meantime, what we used to do in the last 8-9 years is we have created multiple training programs on design thinking, experiential learning, and creative problem solving on one side, and core technical topics based upon the various MOOC courses I've designed or my entire technical study we have come across. And we have been able to deliver over 75 invited plenary talks, workshops, and technical seminars. So this is basically a kind where you can contribute your technical knowledge to the technical institutes, higher educational institutes, where you are not just consulting with them, but you're also sharing your knowledge. So overall, I have been able to cover close to 7,500 engineering students in the last 8 years, and worked with close to 20 plus institutes in Karnataka and a few in Kerala, Tamil Nadu, and Telangana. So just to give you a few glimpses of how and what we could do, we technical consulting for education institutes where I have dealt with are primarily in these a few areas where we have worked on skill development, where we are doing training, competence development, creating learning modules, really short bite-sized learning modules so people learn quicker and faster, overall knowledge sharing as part of the internship programs across various technical societies of IEEE and personally, and creating advanced training modules, so leading up to courses on Udemy. Now, for example, for these advanced training modules, I created a hierarchy of courses where, depending upon each one of them, you start with the basic, then you build your knowledge base, then understanding in the level 3, look at individual blocks. And after you understand the individual blocks, you work at building sub modules. And after you build sub modules, how to use them to build larger subsystems. We have not gone to the full system because the larger subsystem itself are significant. So over the period of time, we have done a lot of boot camps, a lot of technical programs, entrepreneurship and innovation startup programs. And most prominent of these have been my design thinking workshops, where we are able to discuss at various educational institutes and understanding how design thinking can be brought into mainstream education as well as mainstream technical companies, where you work with fresh design engineers or as managers. How can managers get into the creative process as part of it? Frankly, I have now been able to offer these courses even as part of my training programs at Intel too. So as a being an instructor. So very recently, I was the chair of IEEE TEMS Bangalore chapter, where these could be further taken across. So now this is for all the people attending. How could you reach out to me? We can work as an adjunct or a visiting faculty for analog design, mentor or guide or support research faculty, work on certain design consulting projects, especially if you're writing for the central government funding agencies. How do you write the IoT projects and work on grant consulting? Mentor MTech and PhD students over the past couple of years. A lot of them have been coming through. Offer modules of remote internships for starting with 3 weeks to 6 weeks to 3 months for the bachelor's and master students, and how your academic institutions can work with and work on the various social projects for students. Okay, so in the last 15 minutes of this talk, I have taken you through to the journey, what I have been doing and what I have understood and contributed to this ecosystem and this space. Now, before I go to the next question, I would like to ask a question for people who are all on this link, and by either typing in the chat box or showing your thumbs up or thumbs down or any signal, tell me, according to you, what has been your understanding of educational consulting, or what do you think is the common perception of educational consulting? You could unmute or you could just put it in a chat window so that we can check. Anybody? Okay. I don't see any chats. So let's be a little more interactive, just because consulting is again talking. So if you want to be an active consultant, you should be able to speak up and offer your suggestions. Okay, let's go through, since I do not see a lot of comments from people's side. Anything on the chat window that we see? Yes, I do see a few comments. Educational consulting typically refers to a service or a profession where individuals or organizations provides advice, guidance, and support related to educational matters. Thank you, Professor Devendra. That's a very nice point. Dr. Prasuna says developing a customized product according to the requirements. Dr. Day says improving institutional ranking or the NIRF rankings here. So when you have, thank you for these wonderful points. And indeed, yes, they are right. And they cover most of the important perceptions which are understood by people. So if you look at the a broader definition of what happens as part of educational consulting, you could see that do you have a scientific career counseling happening with people? Admission and guidance support is also provided by some of them. You see that some of people help you in getting application and documentation of your admission process, right? And again, securing admissions. So these are probably the most common services that educational consultancies are providing. And these are basically with regarding how do you understand educational consulting is securing an admission in a college or securing admission abroad. So these are one kind of consulting that we work on. Now, apart from these you would be looking at technical consulting. So what are technical consultants doing there? So what you have to understand that along with doing technical, the first thing you need to do as a consultant is understand what is the talent of the candidate, of the institute, and the organization that you're working on. So when you're working with a candidate, which is like a B2C model or direct to a customer, you are looking at understanding what are the important features that a candidate has or a student has. You try to go through an exercise which is called map your talent to understand what are the things that you can take forward. For example, uh, a student could be a very good speaker, should be a great diamond and interesting painter, but he or she may not be good singer, he or she may not be good in witty. So in this case, once you try and map what they are good at and then take it forward corresponding to what is their talent, corresponding to what is their ability, corresponding to what is their inherent knowledge that you go through or inherent behavior and how you take it forward. So this is one thing that you definitely work on a map your talent kind of a scenario. Next, what do you do in educational consulting is you do a very interesting analysis which is called a psychometric analysis. So what does psychometric mean? Could anybody give a quick chat in box? Can you just me what do you mean by psychometric? There are two words, but if you are very familiar, if you can just break up that word and give an intuitive understanding. If you see, if let's hear from anybody on the bridge or is attending the program. Okay. Mr. Srinath Reddy says, a statistical process of evaluating the quality of a psychological test. Yes. Dr. Archana says, analyzing the psychology of interests with respect to the students. Dr. Day says, personality traits. Personality trait is a very generic, but yes, understands. Any other inputs from people? Wonderful. Like what they say is, these psychometric tests basically try and do two things. One, you understand what is your personality, find appropriate questions and answers to define what your personality is, which is basically like an aptitude test. And this aptitude test also tries to understand what are your inherent potentials. How is your decision making ability? How is your reaction ability? How do you speak? Or what is the tone that you expect? There are questions written on it and they are asked you to choose there. And there is no correct answer here, one correct answer. Each one depends upon your mood, your behavior, or your inherent ability. So you try and work at an interest mapping there. After that, you write another check, aptitude check, to basically see how you analyze it and then come out with the personality combination scores. So what is the personality combination? So some people might have inherent knowledge of arts. People have an inherent interest of commerce, business, sales, marketing, technical, geeks. They might have great interpersonal skills. They might have great intrapersonal skills. They might have good social skills, talking skills. Some people are great on the computer. Some people are great off the computer. Each of these has their own combination. And if you create a web diagram saying each of these combinations, if you create a web diagram saying what is your scope that you would cover, what are your scores with each of these skill sets, you will get your personality trait. And then when you're trying to match which your courses match with what the relative careers are there, you would look. Then you would look into something called what are your best fit streams. Educational consultant would recommend to you. And that would put you on the roadmap of success. So this is typically what is done. Now, initially, during at least my times in my engineering college days, we did not have psychometry at the institute level. So we had consultants coming and doing it. Now you have consultants coming and doing psychometric analysis when you're entering the industry. The hiring managers are now curious to know what is the kind of candidate that they are hiring. There is a technical know-how that a hiring brings or the candidate brings, but what is the behavioral concepts? How do you quantify that and how can you bring that? So that is something that they try to engage with, right? So these are the various things that they work on. Now with that, if I would like to now take you through what is the role that is expected of a consultant, right? If you would like to be part, the main role of a consultant has to be three things: evaluate, strategize, and facilitate. What does he evaluate? You have to evaluate not as a candidate, but for the educational institute that you're working at. One is conduct comprehensive evaluations of the educational institutes, their programs, their faculty groups, and identify areas of improvement. Second, devise new strategies for implementing new teaching methodologies or enhance the current teaching methodologies. Then integrating technology and or improving the administrative processes that is there in the system. Finally, create and facilitate professional development workshops for teachers, ensuring whether they need it at a specific skill set or they need in a specific behavioral trait or in administrative qualities, or for in this case nowadays you see a lot of NAB consultants coming into picture to understand and teach people. So you will see these kind of consulting coming into the picture. Now with these ones, any questions do you have before we move to the next portion, the last few segments of the portion? So if you're active and you're able to listen, can I get a thumbs up in the chat message just to see how many people are active? I would really like to see a lot more thumbs ups coming in. Yes, one, just one. Oh, great. Nice. It's nice that people are definitely paying some attention to the talk. Now, going forward, I would like now to talk about the main reason for having this talk. What are the opportunities that technical people as us have the opportunities of doing technical consulting for higher educational institutes? So what are the opportunities that you could do? First, understand that you are in a digital India. And there are four main streams that the world or the educational institutes are looking at. First, creating an digital education system, then online testing and assessment services, creating educational infrastructure services, and educational procurement services. You see, each one of these is a service, but each one of them definitely needs technical advisors, system advisors, developers, and we do have a lot of people in this talk, especially taking, for example, you might see a few people who are consultants in the company after they have retired, or they have taken an early retirement to say, I would like to spend more time to give back to society. There might be some principals in this session or some very senior faculty members. Each one of them would resonate with that. These are the four things that each educational institution is trending towards and ensuring that they are having one of the other. Now, when you look at the first pillar, which is the digital education system, the request is coming from digital classrooms, having more interactive classrooms. When you're working in an university system, it has been all manual in the last 2 decades. Last 1 decade, there have been a lot of digitization of systems. But now you need digital university management systems where you understand the entire system. And now we are seeing a lot of universities coming to the picture. And the number of universities in India has hit, say, a 5-digit or a 6-digit number. And you definitely need help there. Creating and developing secured network solutions and ensuring that you have a Wi-Fi enabled campus so that each student who uses the concept of BYOD, which is bring your own device, is still able to connect seamlessly to your networking system without having any security breaches. Then understanding what are ICT labs, integrated communication technology lab or computer technology labs, where you have computers speaking with technology, speaking with software and hardware and firmware, all of these coming into an effective learning scheme. Then there's digitization of records. It is one of the earliest, very early applications of digitization that we have seen. First have that. Then build with futures of classrooms. Understand how you can have virtual classrooms, which have become extremely essential. And me, during my teaching, which had happened at while I was either teaching the SRM University or taking some of the classes at Indian Institute of Science for the Department of ESE, or going as an invited speaker at some of these colleges, specifically at NIT Meghalaya, or you would see at IST Trivandrum. When you do these classes, how do you enhance and keep a very good virtual classroom environment and keep it engaging with the students? Later, now online admission systems have been gathering a lot of things. Recently, for the example, we have not heard many news of parents standing in long queues very early in the morning to get an application form for the students in schools. 5 to 10 years back, we have seen, at least in Bangalore, if you in the month of November, December, all the way till April, admission queues used to be long, starting at very early in the morning and waiting for people. We have seen parents standing like that. In the last couple of years, and more predominantly after 2020, we have seen not many such queues. That is because people have taken an very strong steps to understand that online admission systems will help. The thing is, the ability to scale the system is huge, because you can use this as for universities, colleges, schools, everywhere. And it is a very nice service that can be provided. And finally, look at educational management information systems, understanding all of these digital records and systems, how you can work with that. So this is one place where technology can definitely be helped. Later, if you go delve deeper into what are these management information systems, you would look at online registration and admissions. CET, Common Interest Test for Karnataka, which was there, used to be offline, where people used to go in person, physically get their admissions done manually with somebody entering the data system into the machine there. Talking about, say, early 2000s till 2010. In 2020s later, we have seen people getting putting up their options in CET, putting the top 5 or 6 choices and do it, right? So they will have such questions. Next, we also have seen student attendance and life cycle management. So you just have a biometric kind of attendance or RFID based attendance and monthly reports going out to the parents of the ward studying. Then there is digitalization of the data, then understanding what are the various timetables and class schedules and electronic forms and library book management, check-in, check-out systems are all now digital. Payroll, financial, accounting, and inventory, HR. These have been the core at, say, even in the past 2 decades in the industry, but now they have become day in, day out activities here. Then there is communication to electronic media, social media, electronic media, everything has gone in. So websites, developing very good websites, developing very good apps, you can say. For example, if you now look at some of the students studying, you would have heard about, if you have students in the primary school or a secondary education system, you would see apps like YOLO, YOLO, YOLO coming into a picture where teachers are able to send out homework, send out announcements, send out assignments to the students, and you do not have the direct. So anybody having this app with having a registry in the backend gets all this information and data. And then along with all of these, in the backend, you have a lot of security system and backend handling. One of the greatest things that I have found that once you have transitioned to an online system has been with alumni engagement. Especially when I saw at my alumni alma mater, Indian Institute of Science, a new department came up, and OCCAP, and the alumni cell. All these came up and then digitized all their works. So instead of people physically meeting up, they're all virtually meeting, virtually engaging, finding new means of attending across the world. You have groups at the various geographies. For example, in the United States, in the Southern America, Europe, multiple places in Europe, multiple places in East Asia, Southeast Asia, Middle East, etc. Such alumni engagement has been only possible if technical consultants like us who are in the industry or who would like to contribute to the higher education will be great. Virtual classrooms whose main objective is to find and create a best practice of standard for implementing modern academic curricula in an international multidisciplinary university setting. Gone are the days where the students are reliant only on the faculty members or books from the library. Data is available everywhere. So now you need to integrate all of these into your system, wherein you do smart classrooms, integrated boards, multimedia systems, and multiple tools of teaching aids for students and teachers. Extending the tools becomes your ICT labs, where you teach hands-on knowledge to your students, not just theoretical. So you come, get some good educational aids and school kits and high-tech educational equipments, utilizing the hardware and software and the entire digital literacy ecosystem into this picture. I would like to spend a few minutes on this particular system, wherein online testing and assessment cycle, along with happening at school level, college level, is now happening at the industry level. It's happening at the UPSC level, where you have the public service examinations or the central defense service examinations, all using their online exams rather than using some of them. People who have heard, you have GATE is online, NEET is online, you have to CET is online, AIEEE, IEEE, JEE mains, prelims, all of these have gone online. What happens with this? The entire infrastructure that you have built to understand, to educate the teachers, educate the students, educate the backend developers, understand the infrastructure, all of these becoming great. And the advantage of having digital knowledge is you are able to retain data or the effectiveness of the data or the consolidation of data in such a way that you are able to learn from data year on year, and that year on year learning will give you a lot of feedback, a lot of strategies that you can develop to target good usage, reduce abuse in the system, create security at the system, etc. You will have really good response systems, query managements, and it's easy to handle data. And if you look at this, at some of the cities where you have over 1.5 lakh candidates, example, writing the NEET exam, which just happened last Sunday on 5th of May, or happening or shortly is going to happen in the form of CET across, you would see it's a really a positive move towards digital India. Great manpower utilization. You can ask the machines to do more of the work and just use manpower to observe or supervise the machines. Really cost effective solutions, highly scalable on pan India level. You have a lot of rationalization, confidentiality, and transparency efforts. Like you have a time to market, you have a very shorter timelines that you can deliver these results. Most of them are system bound and system related, reduced manual intervention, and I wouldn't say they're environmentally friendly, but they are definitely supporting that the environment you are able to use in the case of reducing the dependence on the volume of papers or the weight of papers that are needed. So with this, I would probably come to the last few slides of my talk, wherein you will be surprised with one information which I'm going to give. What is that surprise? There is actually a public sector company started in 1981 from Government of India called EDSIL, Educational Consultants India Limited, which is a public sector undertaking under the Ministry of Education. And it is considered as a mini Ratna category 1 company. Now, I would like you all to respond in the chat window to tell me how many people attending this or even there in the put in the comment section, how many knew that such a company existed. Can I hear somebody give some feedback? How many of you knew that a public sector company, not just a private company, a really public sector company is nearly completing 45 years of its existence, started in 1981. Right? Now, if you go and read about EDSIL, you will be surprised. And if you look at it, look at the various contributions that they have done. These are the amount of massive value addition that they have provided as their service as a public sector company. This is taken from their CMD's message, where they have been helping in business development, where they really have a clientele of 100 plus public sector units, government, and various other labs that are present. Next, they have helped in creating government guidelines, R&R, public PSU practices, and legal aspects, and understanding with how you can set up examinations, pre-examination activity, during examination activity, and post-examination activity. For example, various recruitment notices can be sent. If you remember, DRDO labs, ISRO labs, the railway recruitment boards, the banking services examinations, all of these bring out the recruitment things, railways, teachers, government teachers, private teachers, everybody. Now they have to do, how do you draft the advertisements to the clients? You can give them the standards. They have been able to create the content of all online portals, create syllabus assistance, also maintain what is the final data finalization, how do you have admit cards, how do you generate them, how do you download and make them easier. Later, they have been able to create how do you plan the examination at scale, what is the infrastructure needed, what is the briefing needing to the clients and officials, understanding what is the facilitation importance that needs to be happening. How do you have a central command center which monitors all of it and works? Deployment. And after you do the examination, how do you understand and integrate all this information? Understand that their quality process is followed. Is there a proper response requirement? Normalization of the process, getting the merit list template and publishing the merit list template and managing it for them. And also understanding redressal mechanisms where any complaints come to you, you understand, redress, and even document them and report it back. So this wonderful activity by this EDSIL to the government of India has been a fantastic effect which is happening in the last 45 plus years. Right? So with this, I would like to pause and stop and probably close the session and say, you can kind of reach out to me and contact me. And I really would like to thank all the participants in this meeting for having being some kind of an engaging audience and informing or allowing me to help you with this particular talk. I'm willing to take questions. Thank you very much.